Today I want to talk to you about something really small and simple that we can change that will have a really big effect on preserving our willpower. Watch this video to learn more. So this thing I want to talk to you about today, you probably never really considered it having an effect on your willpower. You probably never really even thought about it, but it's been shown time and time again to have a big willpower draining effect. The effect that I'm talking about is called the Zeigarnik Effect. And the thing that I recommend we do to preserve our willpower is called close-open loops. Now, before I go into discussing what that actually is, let me give you a bit of a background story about what the Zeigarnik Effect is. So story has it that a psychologist called Blume Zeigarnik was in a restaurant one day with all her friends. They're just having lunch. A waiter came over to take all their orders, and he somehow managed to take everybody's orders even though there's 15 people around the table. And she was surprised. I mean, how can somebody remember 15 orders? Obviously, he had some kind of superhuman memory or something like that. So the meal came and went. She left the restaurant, and then 15 minutes later, she realized she left her bag in the restaurant, ran back, went into the restaurant, went up to the waiter and said, "Hey, again, I left my bag here. Has anybody handed it in, or is it at my table?" And his response surprised her because he didn't know who she was. And she thought, hold on, this is the same guy with the superhuman memory. How could that be? And that struck her as odd. Anyway, because she was a psychologist, she couldn't let this go. How could this waiter remember all of these orders and then only 15 minutes after she left the restaurant, not even remember who she was? What happened there? How come he managed to forget this information so fast, despite having what seemingly is a superhuman memory? So being a psychologist, this kind of got hold of her. She did a bunch of research and developed what's called the Zeigarnik Effect. The initial hypothesis for the Zeigarnik Effect is that if we have tasks that are incomplete, our brain just can't seem to let go of that. It just keeps nagging and nagging and nagging us until we get it completed. That was the initial hypothesis. But then further research was done, and it was revealed that it wasn't quite so simple. It's not whether we get a task done, or it's not whether a task is not finished. It's actually whether we have a plan for finishing the task. In other words, if we have a task that we need to do, but we don't have a plan for completing it, our subconscious mind knows that, and it just keeps nagging us. You've got to do this. You've got to do this. Get a plan in place. You've got to do this. And it consumes valuable brain resources, essentially. It consumes a lot of our mind. So how does this relate to willpower? Well, it turns out the Zeigarnik Effect has two pretty big consequences. Firstly, which is slightly unrelated to willpower, is that if we have a task that we don't have a plan for completing, but we do need to complete it, then our brain will continuously nag us, and we'll also remember more about that task. That's why the waiter could remember the orders of everybody who'd ordered up until the point the meals were served and the customers paid the bill. At that point, the task was finished, so the details were forgotten. But before the task was finished, he could remember all of the details. He could remember the orders. The second point about the Zeigarnik Effect, and this is the pertinent point really for this video, is that if we have tasks that we need to do, but we don't have a plan in place for doing them, then that drains our willpower. And this has been shown time and time again. So what I'm saying is all those tasks that you keep putting off, all those times you keep putting your head in the sand and pushing it back and, oh, I'll worry about it later, I can't be bothered to handle that now, or I don't know what to do about this, I'll think about it later. All of those tasks have been draining your willpower, and that's the important point here. That time where a big bill is due and you're not really sure how you're going to get that money together to pay it, or that time where your tooth has been aching and you've been putting off going to the dentist for months, or that time where your boss gives you a task and you're not really sure what to do about it, so you just keep pushing it back. Or where you need to give a presentation and you're not really sure what to talk about, so you just procrastinate on it and leave it. All of these things are great examples of things that are draining your willpower and you don't really know about it. It's just going on in the background, just taking up mind share, putting you in a state of anxiety and stress and causing ego depletion, draining your willpower. So obviously the question is, what do we do about this? And I think it's pretty clear, right? We need to put in place systems such that when tasks are thrown at us, such that when things happen in our life, we have a system in place so that we don't have to keep remembering them. We have a system in place so that we put it on a to-do list, or we put it in a certain email folder, or we just have whatever process in place such that we know that when tasks crop up, there's a system for them to get done. That's it. That's all your brain needs. Your brain just needs to know that it's going to get done. I don't need to worry about this anymore. You don't actually have to do everything. You just need that system. Of course, this can be easier said than done, right? There's all sorts of different kind of tasks. There's tasks that are way into the future. There's tasks that are more immediate. There's tasks to do with finances, health, all these kind of different things keep cropping up. So it can be quite hard to create this kind of system, right? Well, that's why I recommend you read a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen, because that book is all about the Zeigarnik Effect, essentially. It's all about making sure you have a system in place such that when things crop up in your life, you can just follow the system basically. You put them in a certain place, or you file them away, or you put them on a to-do list, or whatever the system is, just follow that, and then your brain just can let it go. And that's going to preserve your willpower in a big way. Just imagine all those things that you've been putting off for so long, and your brain is trying to remember and subconsciously nag you all the time to get done. Imagine all those things and what kind of effect it's having on your really valuable willpower. And imagine how much that's stopping you from doing the things you know you need to do, the things that are going to give you the bigger results in the long term. So my key takeaway from this video is to come up with a system so that when tasks crop up in your life, no matter what they are, you can just offload it from your brain into this system that you have in place. Your brain can stop worrying about it. Your brain can free its resources, and your willpower levels will be preserved so that you can get back to doing the hard stuff that you know you need to do that will bring you the big results in the long term. I hope you found this video useful. If you do, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you again next time.